Welcome to Concept Craft. We are presenting step-by-step videos training to crack your certification exam, so you can gain the confidence to take on any accounting challenge. Now let's begin our today's lesson.
Billable time. Learning outcomes. In this lesson, we'll cover setting up and using billable time in QuickBooks Online. Topics: setting up time tracking in QuickBooks Online, entering billable time into QuickBooks Online, methods of entering billable time, invoicing for billable time, running reports showing billable time, when time is money. Clients who serve multiple customers often need to be able to track the time spent by each employee on each job. They also need to invoice their customers for that time and run reports on billable time to measure the profitability of each activity. How can QuickBooks Online help? QuickBooks Online Essentials, Plus, and Advanced all include a time tracking feature, and each subscription level allows clients to add unlimited time tracking users. With the time tracking feature activated, these users can enter and edit time spent by their employees on each job. This data can then be used to invoice customers and run reports to view billable time. Clients can also enter time using QuickBooks Time, formerly T-Sheets, which is an add-on app integrated into QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Time isn't covered in this lesson, but you can learn about it in our specialty training on QuickBooks Time. Setting up time tracking in QuickBooks Online. To set up time tracking in QuickBooks Online, open Account and Settings and select the Time tab. Select the headings to find out more about the different setting options. What does the first day of work week option do? The first day of work week drop-down allows clients to specify which day to use as the first day of the week when using a weekly timesheet. They would typically align this with the first day of their pay period, that is, the first day of their working week. What does the Show Service field option do? The Show Service field option allows the client, or a time tracking user, to specify which service or task was being performed by the person tracking their time. This is important for reporting purposes. Activating this option adds a drop-down field to each timesheet. The drop-down is automatically populated with the company's list of non-inventory and service items, making it easy for users to select the correct option. Typically, they will choose a service item. Note that inventory items and bundles don't appear on the drop-down, but service and non-inventory items are included. What does the Allow Time to be Billable option do? Switching the Allow Time to be Billable option on enables the client, or a time tracking user, to specify whether their timesheet activities should be billed to the customer. If this option is turned on, a checkbox will be added to timesheets as follows. When a time tracking user enters time as a single activity, a single checkbox to make the time billable shows up there. When a time tracking user enters time as a weekly timesheet, a checkbox is included for each line. In addition, with this option switched on, QuickBooks Online offers the Show Billing Rate to Users Entering Time option. This allows your clients to show or hide the hourly rate associated with the selected service item on the timesheet. Clients usually leave this box blank. Entering billable time into QuickBooks Online. The way a client enters billable time into QuickBooks Online depends on their setup. If the client has a new QuickBooks Online subscription, they'll have a time option in the left-hand navigation, as shown below. This method of entering time is called Basic Time Tracking. If clients don't have basic time tracking, that is, they don't have time in the left-hand navigation, they'll enter time using a weekly or single activity timesheet. Let's look at how clients can carry out each approach. Methods of entering billable time. Now, let's look at how clients can enter billable time using basic time tracking or by using a weekly/single activity timesheet. Let's say you have a client who enters time for one of their employees. They've set up time tracking as follows. Select each heading to see the steps for the relevant procedure. Basic time tracking. Weekly/single activity timesheet. Basic time tracking. If your client uses basic time tracking in QuickBooks Online, they should enter billable time as follows. From the plus New button, select Time Entry. Alternatively, select Time from the left-hand navigation and then select Add Time Entry. Select the employee they want to enter billable time for. Choose the time period for which they're entering the time. This always shows a 7-day week, starting with the first day of the work week that the client selected when they set up time tracking in the settings, even if they choose a custom date. Select the day of the week, Then enter the number of hours and minutes worked for that day, either as hours and minutes or by using decimals. Select Add Work Details to provide more information about this entry. Choose the customer and the service item, and select whether this service is billable. If the client marks the service as billable, QuickBooks tells them that it's going to use the sales price as the billable rate, unless the client checks the box to use a custom rate. The sales price is the one that they entered when they added the item to their products and services list. The client can change the time tracking settings so that this message doesn't appear. Add any notes, which will be the description on the invoice, and select Done. Select Add to add any other hours worked that day. Otherwise, select the next day on which the employee worked that week and fill in the details as before. Finally, select Save and Close. Note: don't forget to view the section on how to enter billable time using a weekly timesheet or a single time activity. Weekly/single activity timesheet. If your client doesn't have basic time tracking set up in QuickBooks Online, they should enter billable time for an employee as either a weekly timesheet or a single time activity. Let's look at how to create a weekly timesheet. Select Plus New, then Weekly Timesheet. Select the employee's name from the dropdown. This list may include vendors as well as employees, depending on who the client has added as time trackers. Next, select the date range for the week for which timesheet data is being recorded. The current working week is selected by default, although clients can change this using the dropdown. Select the customer who the client is going to bill. Note that this could be a sub-customer. Now choose the activity that the employee was working on. Check the billable box to charge the customer for this activity. Note that, when the client selects billable, a billable rate box appears. If a sales price was filled in on the service item, it will populate this field. Otherwise, the field will be 0. Either way, clients can change this value. Now enter the daily hours worked by the employee. Clients can add a new line for each customer the employee worked on this week. They can also add a new line if the employee performed a different activity for the same customer. Finally, select Save and Close. Pro Advisor Tip. Watch the How to Use Basic Time Tracking in QuickBooks Online video to find out more about entering billable time using basic time tracking. Invoicing for billable time. The process to invoice customers for time-based charges is similar to invoicing them for billable expenses, which is covered in the Billable Expenses lesson. Select Plus New, then Invoice. Select the customer from the drop-down. This opens the Add to Invoice drawer, which shows any open billable time, and any other billable charges that can be added to the invoice. Select Add all the income from the invoice is recorded based on the sales account configured on the service items. If the service item wasn't specified at the time of time entry, QuickBooks Online uses its default hours service item. Note that you can change the posting income account on the item itself. Changing the service item overwrites the description, quantity, rate, and tax, but the transaction stays linked to the time tracking entry. When you're ready, select Save and Close. All done. The invoice for billable time is ready. Running reports showing billable time. To review track time, clients can run a series of default reports in QuickBooks Online. Unbilled time. This shows the products or services, time activities, they haven't indexed yet. Recent/edited time activities. This shows the time activities clients' employees recently entered or edited. This report is a quick and easy place to check if time has been entered correctly, and if time has been set as billable to a particular client. Time activities by employee detail. This shows the products or services, time activities, each employee provided, including hourly rate and duration. Time activities by customer detail. This shows the products or services, time activities, clients' employees provided to each customer. The easiest way to find these reports is to enter the word time in the search box in the Reports Center. Summing up. Learning outcomes. Well done. In this lesson, we covered setting up and using billable time in QuickBooks Online. Knowledge recap. You can now help your clients set up and use the time tracking feature in QuickBooks Online. You can also help them use billable time to invoice their customers and run reports. Next steps. In the next lesson, we'll cover using delayed charges.